resume the recording.
All right. So we'll go ahead and get started for today. I would ask, though, that if there's any motions, seconds, or questions other than a hand raise, just please announce yourself so that Mike can know, who's making the motions and seconds and the questions. So with that, our number 2 was approval of the minutes from September 30th, 2021. Could I get a motion?
So
Motion
moved,
to
David
approve.
Brown, Vernon Hills.
Second from Wadsworth, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. It's been moved to second that the minutes from the past meeting be passed as presented. Are there any questions on the minutes? Hearing none, do we need to do a roll call on that, or let's do a roll call then?
You do. Bannockburn,
Aye.
Deerfield.
Yes.
Fox Lake,
Yes.
Hawthorne Woods,
Aye.
Lake Forest,
Yes.
Lake Zurich,
Aye.
Lake County DOT,
Aye.
Long Grove,
Aye.
Libertyville,
Aye.
North Chicago,
Aye.
Vernon Hills,
Aye.
Wadsworth,
Aye.
and Waukegan.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Number 3, planning liaison funding resolution for fiscal year 2023. Mike, you want to take that?
Sure. So this is our annual action to direct the regional planning dollars that come to Lake County DOT staff to provide the staff assistance for the council mayors. We do this every year. This directs about $174,000 in federal funding to Lake County DOT. As the council doesn't have any kind of local dues for municipalities, the county provides about $44,000 in county funds to provide the local match to those dollars for myself and Joe and some of our staff to provide staff assistance to the council mayors. So this is our annual resolution to direct those funds for the planning work.
Motion to approve, David Brown, Vernon Hills. I want to thank LDOT, Mike, and your staff for all the help that you support all of us.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second that the planning liaison funding resolution be passed as presented for fiscal year 2023. Also, I want to echo the same. They've been doing great. Our staff here at Lake County, I think, has been doing an excellent job, continue to moving our projects forward and then keeping up with all the things that are not only here in Lake County, but also through CMAP and some of the other agencies. So there's a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing none, roll call.
All right. Bannockburn,
Aye.
Deerfield,
Yes.
Fox Lake,
Yes.
Hawthorne Woods,
Aye.
Lake Forest,
Yes.
Lake Zurich,
Aye.
Lake County DOT,
Aye.
Long Grove,
Aye.
Libertyville,
Aye.
North Chicago,
Aye.
Vernon Hills,
Aye.
Wadsworth, and Waukegan.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Number 4, functional classification change request. Mike?
Yes, so the village of Antioch submitted a functional classification request. So we did discuss this briefly at Transportation Committee last week. The Transportation Committee didn't take any action to vote on it. The request came in after we had sent the agenda out, but we did discuss it. Staff has reviewed this and think it does meet the basic requirements. Or I guess they're not requirements, they're guidelines. Ultimately, IDOT and FHWA will have to approve this functional classification request. But the request is to reclassify Grimm Road in Antioch from Route 83 on the west to Route 173 on the east, north. The road is currently closed, and they are looking to actually realign the road at the eastern end to the north. It's shown on this map here. So what we're looking for today is approval of a resolution, which is our basic functional classification resolution, just supporting this change. And then ultimately, it will go to IDOT and then FHWA for approval. So with that, if there are questions, I can try to answer them, but in my review of this, it does appear to meet the guidance from FHWA, which are not hard and fast rules, but are some guidance.
Okay, are there any questions?
It's Bill Jacob here, Long Grove. I just have a question. Why wouldn't we support this, right? If it meets the guidelines, and also why do we have to approve it?
I can't say I have a good answer for that other than, Russell, if is there something,
Yeah, I can address that. First of all, every time you add a road to the system, that kind of dilutes the funding. So there's more roads that are now eligible for funding. So we want to make sure that folks are aware of that and that they've actually decided to do that. And by having votes on these kinds of things and submittals, lets the council know that there's been a change to the system in their council and that there's more eligible roadway to apply for funds. In terms of whether or not you approve it or don't approve it, that's also kind of related to that question of making sure you're aware of what's going on, because it does impact. Mike could tell you this. We used to have a lot more of these requests, so we've always been advised to be cautious about approving these things and submitting a lot of them, because eventually there's less money to go around because there's more eligible projects that can apply for funds.
But if it qualifies and meets the requirements,
Well, it meets the requirements, still has to go through a review.
yeah, and just, for context, we have had a number of these requests over the last probably 3 years that I would say about half, maybe a little bit more, that we thought met the guidance or was really close to the guidance that IDOT or FHWA denied the change in the request. So there's not hard and fast requirements. They consider it guidance, and then they evaluate each one individually. And we've had some that I thought made perfect sense that were not approved. So
And the other thing, just to circle back on why the councils are involved, it eliminates everybody just submitting requests on their own. It kind of streamlines the process, keeps everybody aware, and everybody follows kind of the same template and guidelines and things of that nature.
so this is really more of a procedural vote than anything else right now.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve Vernon Hills.
Second, Lake Zurich.
It's been moved and second that the functional classification change be passed as presented. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, roll call.
All right. Bannockburn,
Aye.
Deerfield,
Yes.
Fox Lake,
Yes.
Hawthorne Woods,
Aye.
Lake Forest,
Yes.
Lake Zurich.
Aye.
Lake County DOT,
Aye.
Long Grove,
Aye.
Libertyville,
Aye.
North Chicago,
Aye.
Vernon Hills,
Aye.
Wadsworth,
Aye.
Waukegan.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, motion carried. Number 5, current late STP program.
All right, me again. Let me pull up the program. We discussed this last week at Transportation Committee as well, but just a couple of things to go through on our current program. So one, we're in a very good position. We obligated all of our funding for fiscal year 2021, and moving into fiscal year 2022, our projects are on track and moving towards obligation. This includes both the STP funded projects, which are listed on this sheet, and the coronavirus relief funds that are listed on page 3. So both of those combined, those projects are moving forward. Those projects are hitting agreement submittal dates to IDOT, which puts us in great shape to spend all of our funding for fiscal year 22. We've talked about this in the past, but an important reminder that if our funding is not spent by the end of the year, any funds that we are not able to obligate do get removed from the council program and moved to the regional pot, the STP shared fund, where anyone can access them. Just as a point of information, while we were able to obligate all of our funds last year, and we did a really good job, throughout all the councils of mayors throughout the entire region, there was just over $6 million that was removed from council programs and moved to that STP shared fund. So we were in a good position that none of our funding was removed, but that is a possibility, and that's why we're very focused on making sure that our projects are moving forward. Appreciate everyone's help on getting the quarterly status updates that are required into us. Joe and I do go through all of those and make sure they match our program, and that the target dates are lining up with when we're planning for money to be available. So just wanted to mention that, but we are in a really good position for this year. I'll get into it in a couple of agenda items when we get to the new infrastructure bill, but just want everybody to be aware, keep your projects moving, whether it's active or a contingency list project, because there's more money coming to the region, there's more money coming to the council. And so we are going to have the ability to advance projects that are ready to go to make sure we're spending all of our money. We don't know the exact dollar amount yet, but IDOT did issue a circular letter and with some sort of region-wide funding marks. And based on that, CMAP has told us that the amount of new STP funding that we are likely to receive is about the same as the coronavirus relief funding that we got, which if you look at our program, that's just over $2.3 million. But instead of that being a one-time $2.3 million, that would be an annual amount that would be added to our program. So,
Mike, got a question.
yeah.
A couple of questions. You said that those funds with 6 million were put back into the STP. Are there any projects that we have right now that we could request any of those dollars for?
I think we can towards the end of the year, possibly. In order for us to be able to access those funds, we first have to spend all of our 2022 money and get that obligated. So as I mentioned, our projects are on track for that. But we do have a couple of projects that are targeting lettings towards the end of summer. We have a project on the September letting. So if everything stays on track as we are, I would say towards the later part of the fiscal year, we may be able to request some of that additional funding.
Okay, and then my second question is, I see because of the virus and the additional funding, Then I know we had a question regarding, what was it, Round Lake had some concerns on trying to get some of their projects completed. That actually got taken care of because of that?
Yeah, so with the COVID relief funds, the CRISA funds, we were able to move a variety of projects. We moved the Zion 27th Street project from fiscal year 25 into fiscal year 2022. The Round Lake Wild Spring Road project was the same situation, moved from 25 to 22. The Lincolnshire project is partially funded with the COVID relief funds and partially funded with our STP funds that we had not been able to previously accommodate in one fiscal year. So it previously had been in 22 and 23. They were going to do two separate lettings, but we're able to now advance it to 22 and get that entire project built. And then we were able to give cost increases to, I think, well, not every project in the program, every sponsor that had a project got at least a cost increase or their project advanced. And then in some cases, we were able to move a couple projects from the contingency list into the active program as well.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
So, so yeah, that $2.3 million in COVID relief funds led us to bring in about $5 million worth of projects because we were able to advance projects, move projects into the contingency list. That was a one-time influx of money, but the new infrastructure bill is going to bring that roughly that same amount into the council annually on top of what we were already receiving. So we're not quite sure what the exact dollar amount will be, but we know it'll be in that roughly $2.3 million. And we're not quite sure yet when that will become available. The earliest would be July 1st, but probably more likely will be October 1st with the start of the new federal fiscal year. But that's still to be determined.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions? All right. Very good. So we'll move on to number 6 is the 2022 call for projects.
Yeah, so in that same vein of more money being available, we're also going to be looking for new projects. The call for projects will open next Monday, January 31st, and close 2 months later, March 31st. All of the materials for that call for projects will be posted on the council website on Monday. The application links to all of the various data sources that we use to score and rank those projects so that everyone has equal access to those sources of how we go about scoring projects. We'll also send out an email on Monday once all those are posted. I'm hopeful it'll be Monday morning, but depending on when our website staff can get all of that stuff posted, once it's available, we will send out a notification to everyone that all of that information is posted. That also includes the timeline for the call for projects. So just briefly, as I mentioned, call is open from the end of January through the end of March. Then in April and May, we will score and rank those projects and put together a draft recommended program. At our April meetings and May full council meeting, we can discuss how many applications we received and what types of projects. But then in June, we will have a recommended staff program to present to the council and to the transportation committee and the full council. And we'll be asking for that draft program to be released for public comment. The public comment period would be for the month of July. And then we would reconvene in August to review any public comments on the program that were received. And then ultimately look to approve the program. In September, those new projects would be submitted into the TIP and go through CMAP's committee process through the CMAP Transportation Committee, the CMAP board, and then ultimately be approved by the MPO Policy Committee at CMAP, which is the ultimate body that approves all of the federal funding in the middle of October. So we are here in late January, starting the process that will conclude with final approval in October of this year, with funding being available for the earliest in fiscal year 2023. We'll be adding 2 years onto the back of the program. But then on top of that, as I mentioned, with the infrastructure bill that was passed, we will be getting additional funding. So we will have room, it looks like, in all years of the program. So to be able to add some projects. For those sponsors that have projects currently in the active program, I'm not talking about the contingency list, but just the active program. Those sponsors are not required to resubmit their projects during the call for projects to be continued in the program. However, the regional rules do say that those sponsors, those communities need to reaffirm their commitment. So they need to either send a letter or a resolution that municipality remains committed to the project and wants it to stay in the active program. For those projects that are currently on the contingency list, that contingency list does expire with every call for projects. So in order for projects to be considered, to make the next contingency list or the active program, all of those projects on the contingency list will need to reapply during this call for projects. And then finally, as mentioned, we know we're getting some additional STP funds, but there are some new programs in the infrastructure bill that may also have some funding get distributed through the councils. That's still to be determined. But what we've been told by CMAP is that really this call for projects is the opportunity for municipalities to get their projects either on the active list or the contingency list. And that those two lists are what we're going to be able to use to fund projects with any additional funding until our next call for projects in 2024. So if you're considering a project, now is the time to get it in, because we know for sure we're getting additional funding, and there may be additional funding opportunities that we're not quite aware of yet. So take advantage of it and put projects in. You know, Joe and I look forward to scoring them all. So.
And with the new scoring methods, it's not really a challenge, but it's a difference. It's different. Yes. Okay. Are there any questions to Mike? Mike, oh, go ahead. Someone had a question.
Mayor Rockingham, Bill Jacob here, Long Grove.
Sure.
So I noticed that the timeline is what, 4 years? So you're looking at projects, maybe not even next year, but could be 4 years out? Or is it they just end up on a list and it can go out 4 years? How does that work?
Yeah, so right now our program, we built, originally we built a 2021 through 2025 program. 21 has fallen off now. We moved out of that. So we will be building a program through 2027 for this next call for projects. So fiscal year 23 through fiscal year 2027. 2026 and 2027 are the new years of the program. So we will have a full year worth of allocation. And then the new fiscal years at the front of the program, we know we're getting about roughly $2.3 million additional above what we currently are receiving. So we should have some funding available in all 5 of the multi-year, all 5 years of the multi-year program for new projects.
Yeah, so that if say, for example, a municipality says, I know that the year that is most ideal to do a project is 2027, then when we submit it, that's how it would be submitted, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So on the application, it asks for a preferred fiscal year. if we're not able to fund a project where a sponsor requested it, we will work with that sponsor. So that's how, for example, the two projects that I mentioned that moved up in the program with the original COVID relief funds, the Zion 27th Street project and the Round Lake Wild Spring project. Both of those projects were added to the program during our last call, and they were essentially shovel-ready projects. But the first year we had funding available was fiscal year 2025. So I had talked to those sponsors and said, you know, you're basically ready to go. You requested funding in 21, but we don't have funding available there. Do you want to put your project in the program in 2025? And they both said yes. Then with the additional funding, we were able to advance them sooner. So yeah, we ask for a preferred letting year when a project is targeting. But then if funding isn't available, we'll work with the sponsors as we build the program to try to fit the project in based on the scoring and ranking.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mike, I was going to ask, you said that letter for contingency, when does that have to be in by?
By the end of March, I think is probably ideal, just so that we know if for some reason a sponsor was not going to recommit, then we want to make sure as we're building the new program that we take that into account, because we don't want to leave money unprogrammed. But yeah, just a letter from the mayor, the village manager, or a resolution. There's not a set format, but just recommitting that the sponsor is wants to move forward with that project and keep it in the program is what we're looking
All right.
for.
Thank
And
you.
I will send an email to all of the active program sponsors as well, because we don't want that letter or lack of, you know, this is the first time we're going through it. So, you know, it's a regional rule, but sort of lack of awareness of that regional rule. We don't want that to be the reason somebody drops out of the program. So I'll
Right.
make sure I contact everybody as well.
Okay. All right. Very good. If there's no other questions, we can move forward to number 7, infrastructure investment and job acts.
Yeah, so as I'm sure everybody is aware, the Congress passed the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, or as I think USDOT and some others are calling it, the bipartisan infrastructure law or bill. Those acronyms EJA or bill seem to be interchangeable at this point, but this is a very, very large infrastructure bill, $284 billion above the basically fiscal year 20 baseline. Just in that 284 billion is just in transportation, 266 billion in other infrastructure sectors. I put a 2-page summary in the meeting packet, as well as some slides from CMAP. There are a number of new programs. Those are still being worked out. And as Russell mentioned from CMAP at our transportation committee meeting, the infrastructure bill was passed after Congress passed a continuing resolution to keep the budget going and keep the government open. So though these new programs that were included in the infrastructure bill were not included in that continuing resolution because they didn't exist at the time. So until Congress passes basically a full budget, those new programs are not appropriated at this time. So I know FHWA is and USDOT is working very hard to develop program guidance for all of the state DOTs and rules for all of these programs. But that is in progress. Then, you know, IDOT will take that guidance from FHWA and develop program rules for a lot of their new programs. The good news for us is that the existing formula programs will see cost increases. Those are existing programs. So that's our council funds, that's CMAQ, the Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Program, the TAP program, Transportation Alternatives, that CMAP does calls for projects. So for the TAP program, that funds non-bike path projects, mainly at CMAP. The infrastructure bill includes a 76% increase over the baseline levels in funding for that. It's roughly a 32% increase in STP programs and a 10% increase in CMAQ. And these percentage increases are sort of like the national numbers increase. So there's a lot of formulas for how it then gets distributed to the states, and then how once it gets to IDOT, how it gets to CMAP, and then once it gets to CMAP, how it gets to us. So there's a lot of formulas along the way. So just because it's a 32% increase at the national level doesn't necessarily mean we'll see a 32% increase here. But all boats will rise with the increased funding, and all of these programs are going up. There are a number of, as I mentioned, a number of new programs. They're kind of summarized here. If you want more details, I would recommend that folks go to the NACO, the National Association of Counties, has a really fantastic website that breaks down in a ton of detail all of the new programs, all of the existing programs. They have great infographics about this. And then one other thing that I wanted to mention, if you Google this week, Google the White House Build Back Better, I believe, is the name of the document. But the White House put out I think it's just a 2-page document with a lot of these surface transportation programs. Most of them are existing programs, but what it does include is estimated timelines for when they're going to start accepting applications for all of those programs. So for example, the RAISE program, which used to be known as the Tiger Grant, and is now the RAISE program, they are looking to open that call for projects and start accepting applications by the end of February of this year. Some of them are not until the end of September, and they kind of vary across the board, but that document was just put out this week, so I wanted to mention that. Excuse me. The last thing I wanted to mention is, in addition to all of the formula program increases, most, not all, but most of the programs also include a discretionary component as well, which means, you know, in addition to the amount of funds that are distributed to the states for, say, bridges, there will also be a program at USDOT that you can apply directly for funding for bridges, for grade separations, for almost all of these programs include a formula component and a discretionary sort of competitive component. So there will be a lot of opportunities to apply for these funds outside of the normal process through the council or through IDOT, but also to be able to apply for funding directly from USDOT for these programs. And, you know, I believe the bridge program alone includes like $40 billion in formula funding, and then I think another $10 billion in the discretionary program. It's significant investments in bridges and significant investments in like bike paths, non-motorized, and in safety. The other thing that I know has been a topic of interest for all of us is grade separations, separating, you know, rail and highway. The CRISI program, the Commuter Rail Improvement, I don't remember all the letters to the acronym, but that was one of the few federal programs that had grade separations as a eligible project type. Now there are probably 3 or 4 programs, including a dedicated grade separation funding program. So actually, our local Congressman Schneider, filed a bill for a grade separation program, and what ended up in the infrastructure bill looks remarkably similar. Not identical, but very, very close to what was proposed here locally. So you know, that is $3 billion nationwide for grade separations just in that program alone. So a lot of information out there. These new programs, as I mentioned, are subject to appropriation and Congress passing a budget. But we know additional funding is coming. We know there will be lots of opportunities for additional funding. And so we need to have projects that are ready to go. So again, encourage everyone to apply during this call, get your projects ready, have those kickoff meetings, get engineering going to the best of your ability so that when the new funding does become available, we're able to spend it quickly and not lose any of the money that comes to Lake County. We want to make sure it's spent here. So if there are questions, I can try to take questions. It's a very big bill. I don't pretend to know all of it, but it's a brief summary.
Okay, any questions? Okay, you know, I just want to echo though that what Mike has said, that just, you know, Build Back Better plan that, you know, that Congress has put out there. You know, there's a lot of opportunities, not only just transportation, but also, you know, in a lot of our communities that we know that there's projects out there that you're interested in trying to, you know, get your cities funding for. So, you know, definitely go out there and submit for them. You know, also, you know, we just remember not too long ago, Metro was talking about all the different bridges that the railroads that, you know, how old they were. You know, Metro is going to be going out there for a lot of funding to try to get a lot of those bridges, you know, reconstructed or you know, rehabbed. So, you know, I think the dollars are there. I'm glad to see the dollars are there, that we can have an opportunity to get a lot of our infrastructures, not only here in Lake County, but, you know, just into your own municipalities. And, you know, to me, it's, you know, as many dollars as we can get into Lake County is beneficial to all of Lake County. So, you know, that's something that, you know, we have to just go out and push for. So I'm just, you know, hopefully that, again, and I'm sure a lot of your communities and are out there submitting for them. So, you know, I guess I say good luck. Let's get as many dollars here in the Lake County as we can. So,
Yeah,
all right.
Other thing I'll just add, Mayor, kind of building on what you said, is that you know, you can use Joe and myself as a resource. You know, feel free to reach out to us if you're considering a project, and you know, we can give you some guidance or even, you know, connect you with CMAP or somebody else that you know, has specific expertise. But you know, I know I've met with several communities over the last couple months talking about potential projects and how funding could be lined up. We're happy to do that for anyone. So anyone that's considering projects, you know, that's part of our role is to help you identify funding. So we're happy to do that, and just wanted to put that out there.
All right. Thank you, Mike. All right. Moving on. Other business. Anything else?
I have no other business.
Anyone has anything that would like to be brought up? All right. Hearing none of that, on to public comment.
I did not receive any public comment prior to the meeting.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I wish my city council would work this way. Moving on. Last one then. Our next meeting is May 5th, 2022. So I hope, again, everybody's able to. And before I go, and because this is towards the end of January, I want to again, since this is our first meeting, I should have said this to begin with, Happy New Year to everyone. And I hope everyone has a great year moving forward. And a lot of your projects get taken care of in this 2022. So with that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
And been moved and second that the meeting stand adjourned. I don't think we need a roll call for that, do we?
No.
All right. Everyone have a great day. Thank you all for joining us. Look forward to seeing you in May. Take care.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mayor.
Watch for the groundhog.